out of that. It's turned a lot of us who, thought we could just go out and vote, it was enough, or complaining to our friends, that was enough. It turned us into true activists. So are we ready to take this district back? Yes. Are you ready to take our nation back? Yes. And like so many of you, as I mentioned, I was completely shocked when I saw our election results in November. I thought, what's going to happen to our nation? And I realized we did have to take to the streets. We did have to make our voice known. And for the first time since my days at Georgetown and college, I got out there and joined you in the streets. And, so many of the values that Roosevelt had spoken about, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom from want, the freedom from fear, those things have now been taken away from us. And I would add to that we're also seeking freedom to know the truth. And the GOP has been lying to us. I was astonished when they were trying to push Trump care, and they came out and told people, now you have the freedom. You have the freedom to choose health care that's expensive. You have the freedom to choose an operation that's going to cause you to go bankrupt. It's like telling somebody living on the street, hey, guess what, buddy? You've got the freedom to go buy a yacht. They've tried to couch these things as a freedom, but in fact, it is something that is driving people to bankruptcy, or it's driving them to have to refinance their homes. And healthcare is a right, and Obamacare has done amazing things for people in our area. Thousands of more people have been able to sign up for coverage. If you had a pre-existing condition, you can now get insurance. You're not excluded. But it is still expensive for a lot of business owners, for a lot of families. And I think the real solution is universal health care. And we are the only Western country that does not provide universal health care for its citizens. The critics of universal health care say it's too expensive. We can't do it. They're wrong. We can do it because we need to close the tax loopholes. Since I became a corporate attorney 10 years ago, I realized how great it is in this country to be rich. You can make so much money, not just from your investments, but from the little that you pay in taxes. For example, let's take a nurse in Los Angeles who's moved her way up in the hospital, making $150,000 a year. She's going to pay 35% in federal taxes on her earnings. Let's take a wealthy heiress who made $150,000 from one investment that year. She decides to hold her investment for 2 years. She's going to pay 15% in taxes for that income. That is completely unfair. So by closing some of those tax loopholes and also decreasing our military spending, we spend more in defense than the next 7 nations combined. Certainly having a strong military is critical. My brother serves in the Air Force, and I'm immensely grateful for his courage and for the task that he has taken on. But it's disproportionate, and we need to put that money back towards critical programs and rights for our citizens. The next big item, I think, to bringing growth to this area and bringing back jobs and really having the prosperity here that we see in Sacramento and Silicon Valley is fast and reliable broadband service. Yeah. This is just as necessary, if not more necessary, for people trying to run their businesses in this area as a landline. In fact, my husband and I hardly use our landline. Most of our customers, and basically all of his customers overseas, contact him by email. And so for people applying for jobs who can work remotely, I know Marty was telling me she works remotely for her company as well, you have to have reliable broadband service. And a lot of corporations, AT&T and Verizon, have promised the FCC, it was also in connection with mergers, to get approval for those mergers, that they would bring broadband to rural areas. And they haven't done it. They've constantly made excuses about how it's too expensive to come out here and bring that type of infrastructure. So we have to hold them accountable. Another key issue is protecting our environment. A lot of Republicans believe that environmental protection and increasing the GDP don't go hand in hand. They're completely wrong. So much of our tourism is based on the fact that we've got these gorgeous rivers, these beautiful lakes, a wonderful national park, and that is good for the economy. Also, people who are educated, who are progressive, they want to live in an area where environmental rights are well protected. You can see this in very prosperous and also very environmentally conscious counties like Marin County, Santa Cruz, parts of Silicon Valley. They respect the environment, and they've been able to really boost the economic output in those particular counties. So we've really got to change the tide now in Washington. We've got to elect congressional members that put working families first, that care about rural districts, that care about the environment, and are prepared to make that change and not be influenced by large industry dollars. So if you're with me, then let's take this district back, and let's take our nation back. So thank you so much. Oh, by the way, so I bumped off of Heidi a couple of sign-up sheets. If you're I crossed out Heidi's name and says Jessica for Congress. So if you're interested in volunteering for the campaign or just want to talk, see what you can do, please come back to our table there and sign up. Thank you so much. Jessica.
Are there any questions for Jessica?
Holcombe.
Holcombe.
Yes, it's on your, it's on your agenda.
Yep.
If you check on your agenda, and then when we get the list of names out, we'll have contact information for you.
Okay, great.
Are there any questions for
Hey,
Jessica?
Jessica.
Yes.
Just knowing based on what, I know you've talked with Heidi for several hours just about her process. I would love for you to just expand a little bit more, just your own personal motivation, your personal story, and why you think you'd be the most effective candidate within this district.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't been politically active in like over 20 years. I mean, I was really gung-ho when I was in college at Georgetown. I was like, yes, we're going to take this country back. We're going to close the divide between the rich and the poor. And so I did an internship up on the Hill, worked for Congresswoman Woolsey, and it bothered me that she didn't want to sign her own letters, that I was signing the letters for her. I was like, you know, this is just not genuine. I'm quitting this internship. So after that, I joined the Peace Corps, and then I went to law school at Davis. But I think when Trump got elected, I was very deeply affected. My hand actually started to shake when I saw the election results come out. I could barely sleep that night. And the next morning, I was calling my friends and my family, and I said, the peace that we've known in this nation, the freedoms that we've known, and to some degree I've taken for granted, now are under threat. They're under siege. And like so many of you, I was inspired by those who founded Indivisible and got our community groups together. And I said, yes, I'm going to get out there and we're going to speak. And actually, I hadn't thought about running for office, but I joined a grassroots movement in Christian Valley. There's just like 10 or 15 of us. And they said, we love to hear you speak. Why don't you run for Congress? And I was like, are you guys serious? They're like, yeah, go do it. We think you can do it. And I said, okay, I'll be your voice. So, you know, certainly public speaking, debating, that stuff has come naturally to me in practicing law, even though I do corporate law. You know, every day is a negotiation. You've always got to try to come to the table and find some common ground. But I think my familiarity with law, with debating, with trying to find common ground with your opponents, I think all of those skills can help me. And I'm really passionate about changing these things. I feel like I'm watching injustice before my very eyes, and I'm ready to get up on the table and say, no, you don't. Yes.
did you serve in the East?
I was in Russia. So, yeah, actually, I got, a lot of people thought I was Russian because I started, wearing Russian clothes, the fur hats and the boots and everything. And because it was long before I met my wonderful husband, Vincent, I was there just as a single young person. People accused me of being a spy. So often people will ask me, like, why are you really here? You're with your government? Yes, Atara?
No, I was, I don't know, I have Tourette's or something, I don't know.
Yes, Stu?
You mentioned jobs, but what if with the advances in AI and robotics and automation, what if jobs just aren't coming back? Should we kind of take a different look at what it means to have, what gives us our self-worth if we don't have jobs to get that from, and how we sustain ourselves if there aren't jobs for everyone?
That's a fantastic question. And when I was listening to Trump on the campaign trail, I felt like he was lying to people because he was telling people who, I just feel like maybe he really was. If he's telling people that coal jobs were coming back, right? Factory jobs were coming back. A lot of these jobs have been replaced by technology. And I think our answer to that is there are still a lot of job openings. You see it in Silicon Valley, or I know in a lot of the work that I do for McClatchy, we have to hire several recruiting agencies to find specialized workers in video content, in digital, in tech, because it is so difficult to find someone with these skills. So I agree with you. I think that the low-skilled jobs are in decline, and in an area like this where there's a lot of agriculture, with more technology, those jobs are starting to go away. But I think the upside to that is that there are a lot more opportunities in tech and in specialized services, and like what Marty was saying, how she's able to work remotely. I wouldn't have been able to move to Auburn if I didn't have a broadband connection, a solid, very fast. Tech clients will not tolerate the fact that you can't get back to them quickly. My husband was able to start his business and really get going in Auburn because of technology. So that's where I think the real opportunity is, and that's why we're going to have to put more money into education, making education more affordable, so that more people have access to those opportunities.
Jessica?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm behind you. So.
Oh, sorry, Larry.
What do you think you can do? I've been doing this for quite a number of years, and I watch folks get worked up and then drop back, and worked up and then drop back. What do you think you can do running for this job so that win, lose, or draw, you can leave people excited and involved?
Yeah. I asked myself that same question too when members of my grassroots movement said, why did you run for Congress? Because I knew everything, even before Heidi so graciously took the time to speak with me. I knew that this was a really hard district. And I said, there was something that the Attorney General in Hawaii said that really inspired me when he decided to go against Trump, against the ban, and challenge that from a legal standpoint. And he said, people who had been in the Japanese camps and the Germans that were also discriminated against in World War II, they said the worst part about it is that so many people they knew, so many people around them, they stayed silent. They said that was the most painful part. It wasn't going to those camps. It was that people didn't speak out. And I said, that I think is our success, is being able to get that message out to the community and to know that people heard our voice and that